They forgot to say Emmy winner Lamorne Morris. We gonna do this shit again. Yeah.
Emmy winner Lamorne Morris.
Yeah. Yeah, that person's here. Ah, shit, I thought that was like a taped thing. All right, everybody calm down. This is serious. Art is but a measure of sacrifice and tears. That was something the movie version of Lorne Michaels said in Saturday Night, which I rather humbly starred in, and some would say best part. But I think that quote is appropriate because that's what we're here to do tonight. What? Oh, sorry. Thought that was my grandma. You back from the dead again? Shit. It's been a long time. But that's what we're here to honor tonight. The art that goes into making movies and TV. And tonight's recipient of the Cinematic Imagery Award knows as well as anyone what it takes to make that art, to make that dream come to life. The Art Directors Guild presents this award to filmmakers whose body of work has enhanced the visual aspects of the audience's experience. And tonight, I'm honored to give it to Jason Reitman. So many people weren't here to accept their awards. I didn't know if you would be here, to be honest with you. Over Jason's career, he has created worlds from the familiar to the spectacular, but always putting his imagination onto the big screen. The world surrounding a pregnant teenager could have faded into the background, but working with his designers on Juno, they created a color palette in a world that popped off the screen and lodged into audiences' memories. And though he joked for years that his Ghostbusters would be, and I'm quoting, it would be the most boring Ghostbusters movie. He eventually stepped into his father's shoes and reunited the Ghostbusters, giving a new generation of designers the chance to say, "Bustin' makes me feel good." And then quietly questioning the intentions behind that nasty-ass line. And then cut to this year, where Jason brought some of our own industry history to the big screen with Saturday Night. Now, for some people, Conclave served as a window into the inner workings of their church, but for comedians and comedy actors like myself, that was Saturday night. Some people pray to St. John the Baptist, but we pray to St. John the Belushi. Yeah, sure. Now, for this job, he tasked his design team with building a perfect replica of Studio 8H, and we truly got sent back 50 years to the premiere of SNL. Let me tell you something. When I stepped onto that set and I saw all of those rowdy young actors that they cast in this movie, I just knew in that moment that we were fucked. I thought this was gonna be a shit show, a true shit show, and then I got to see Jason in action. The way he yelled at those kids and berated them. Putting them all in check, you know what I mean? That was really a joy to see. He'd always come to set drunk. He'd always be drunk, you know what I mean? He hits it, look at him right now. He's hitting it right now. He would come to set and he would say, "Look at all these privileged-ass white boys in here." And I was like, "Well, I don't know why Jason called people white boy all the time." That was just something that he would do. "Motherfuckers need to shut your ass up before I slap the piss out of you, motherfuckers." He would say stuff like this all the time on work, and I was truly frightened. But it was a joy to work with him. Now, through it all, Jason has worked hard to bring his dreams into our movie theaters. So let's take a look at some of the highlights and amazing images from Jason's cinematic career.
It was my father who visited me when I was pre-med and said, "What the hell are you doing?" And in that moment became the first Jewish father to tell his son, "Don't be a doctor, become a filmmaker."
Hey, Mark. And action.
I'm trying to answer questions for myself, like everybody. And I try to answer them through the process of telling stories.
What we do here is brutal.
And it does leave people devastated, but there is a dignity to the way I do it.
I'm pregnant. I'm gonna give it up for adoption, and I already found the perfect couple. They're gonna pay for the medical expenses and everything, and what, 30-odd weeks, we can just pretend that this never happened. No.
Mom, what's wrong with your body?
I love working with Jason. It's the most important creative partnership in my life.
Almost all of Jason's films, the stories often are funny and as well as realistic.
The heroines are going to be quicker, savvier, more eccentric.
Well, not only is he incredibly wonderful storyteller, he isn't afraid to just try something new.
I ran into him somewhere and he said, I have our next project. I was like, cool, when? Where do I sign up?
Saturday Night is about the 90 minutes leading up to the first episode of Saturday Night Live. There was a moment where nobody knew what SNL was. I want to bring audiences back to that moment when there was only one person on the planet who knew it, and that was Lauren Mike.
What the hell is happening? What? Oh. Good evening. You just have to make it here.
Ladies and gentlemen, and honored guests, this year's Cinematic Imagery Award honoree, Jason Reitman.
Oh my God. Best speech of all time. Lamorne Morris, everybody. Lamorne, who, when I told him that you guys were going to be honoring me, was like, are you sure? Honestly, even when I told Francois and when I told Jess Goncher, I think their response was, are you sure they didn't misspell Guillermo del Toro? This doesn't make any sense. I don't deserve this. Although I'm very moved they would even consider me for this ceremony. But look, this doesn't belong to me. This belongs to every set painter that's heard me complain about what a white wall. It belongs to every load-in team that's given up their Sunday so that I can work on Monday. And it's every set deco who has entertained me counterclocking a piano 5 times. Directors are awful. You shouldn't honor us. We take all the credit, and we complain about everything. Yeah, that'll get applause. I grew up around some of the greatest production designers of all time. The first time I visited the firehouse set from Ghostbusters was back in 1983. I got to meet the legendary John DeCure. Honestly. Second time they built the Ghostbusters firehouse, I got to meet the equally legendary Bo Welch. And the third time was just last year when the brilliant Eve Stewart brought the old brick lady back to life. And I walked in and I saw the green subway tile on the filigreed ceilings and the fire pole. And honestly, I took 2 steps into that set and I had to pause and hug her because I genuinely could not stop crying. A great set transports us to a time we wish we could revisit in a place that only exists in our dreams. This is very meaningful, particularly from a guild of artists and craftspeople who create in ways I genuinely can't fathom. I mean it when I say this doesn't belong to me. It belongs to Steve Sacklid, who literally held my hand through Thank You for Smoking, Juno, and Up in the Air. It belongs to Kevin Thompson, who leaned into all of my dark aspirations for young adult. It belongs to Francois. Where are you, Francois? I know he was down here. He just won an award. Congratulations. Francois, who brought Ecto 1 back to life and supported me through the great journey of becoming a Ghostbuster and the emotional roller coaster of joining my family business. And most recently, it belongs to Jess Goncher, who miraculously rebuilt the entire 8th and 9th floors of Rockefeller Center so we could bring back to life the opening night of Saturday Night Live, which celebrates its 50th anniversary tomorrow. This was a completely enclosed environment, our only set. It allowed us to continuously film, and I mean literally film, for as long as a 16mm camera mag would allow. It was a fully realized, immersive 1975 experience designed by Jess Goncher, art directed by Drew Monahan, set directed by Claudia Banfia, all here. Every light, every cable was built into the set. Every inch was shootable. It was filmmaker heaven. I always loved SNL. It sounds crazy, but when I think about what made me really admire that show, it wasn't the sketch comedy. It was the idea of a crew coming together over just a few days and building a show from scratch, from nothing. Brilliant artists putting on a show like it was summer camp. That's what I remember from my childhood on set. Getting out of bed as the sun was coming up and sitting in the passenger seat as my dad drove down to Warner or Universal. I had my first kiss on the Universal lot on stage 12 on the set of Kindergarten Cop. My dad directed my first kiss. Yes, I'm in therapy. But honestly, seeing the guys coming off the trucks every day, a new challenge, a new story, a new adventure, anything was possible. How do you go back to school after being on a movie set? How do you think about pursuing literally any other career once you've spent like a week making movies? And I'm going to be echoing a lot of people who already spoke here tonight, but I got to say it too. While I stand here with a microphone, this is what I like to say. Los Angeles gets a bad rap for being a cesspool of fame-seeking, social climbing assholes. Okay, sure, point taken. But it's also a community of dreamers with a 100-year history of telling stories, and I fear that we are losing that community. We sometimes act as though it's a fait accompli, that movies were simply made to be shot elsewhere. And yes, I've been guilty of this myself. But I think we're having a moment as a city. I think it's time we fight for the dream that Los Angeles promised. It's a time for mentoring the next generation of artists. It's time for studios to dedicate a real percentage of their slate to shooting in Los Angeles. It's time to lean into making movies on historic studio lots. And it's a time to unlock the tax incentives so we can recover from this devastation of last month. I'm a child of this industry. I love this city. I know you do too. I just want to say very quickly, my favorite human being on earth is in the audience tonight. My daughter Josie is right over there. Josie, I love you. Josie's about to go to college. Kiddo, surround your life with people like the people in this room, artists who make things with their hands. Your life will be far more beautiful. Thank you for this incredible honor. I don't deserve it, but I'm going to try to. Thank you very much.